She heard the name, and her world collapsed. The one she trusted turned out to be a traitor. But can she handle the truth?
Emily took a shaky breath, her hand instinctively reaching out to find support, but there was none. In the dimly lit room, she was trapped, surrounded by shadows that stretched and twisted like grasping claws. She had known this moment might come, that her father's choices would cast long shadows. Yet she hadn't anticipated the icy grip of fear that now constricted her chest. The sight of Richard Thompson, a man she had heard her father mention in hushed tones, sent a shiver down her spine. He stood there, with his hands tucked in his jacket, a predatory grin on his face, his eyes gleaming with a light that chilled her to the bone. "Miss Emily," he said, his voice smooth but edged with amusement, "fancy meeting you here." She forced herself to meet his gaze, struggling to keep the terror from showing in her eyes. "Mr. Thompson," she replied, her voice betraying none of the turmoil within, "a pleasure." She noted the slight narrowing of his eyes. Clearly, he wasn't fooled by her composure. As much as she tried to gather her thoughts, to formulate a plan, her mind raced, a jumble of fear and anger. "I see your father has kept his promise," Thompson continued, his gaze drifting toward the shadows, as if he expected someone else to emerge. "He truly did as you asked." A flicker of triumph crossed his face, but it vanished as quickly as it had appeared. "And you," he turned back to Emily, his expression sharpening, "are you here to thank me? To show your gratitude for the opportunity I've provided you?" Opportunity. The word echoed in her mind, carrying the stench of deceit. Emily understood then that she wasn't merely a pawn, she was a prize. They had used her, bartered her, all for the thrill of it, for the perverse pleasure of holding power over her life, but she refused to be a victim. She squared her shoulders, lifting her chin in defiance. "Thank you," she said, each word measured, each syllable laced with ice. "I wouldn't dream of thanking you." His smile widened, revealing teeth that glinted like the blade of a knife in the dim light. How intriguing, so straightforward, so unafraid. She met his eyes, daring him to read her facade. "I don't fear you." Thompson chuckled, a low, rumbling sound that echoed strangely in the vast space. "Oh, I believe you don't, but you should. I can offer you untold luxury, Miss Emily, power, status, a life beyond your wildest dreams," she scoffed, turning away from him. To her relief, he didn't follow. That was another thing she had miscalculated. They thought she would crumble, beg for mercy or submission. But she was made of stronger stuff. Emily began to walk away, not looking back, but she could sense his eyes boring into her back. Suddenly, a hand clamped onto her shoulder, spinning her around. She gasped, expecting to see Michael. But when she looked up, she found herself staring into the cold, calculating eyes of Mr. Thompson. "Don't play games with me, child," he said, his voice dropping to a dangerous whisper. "I know your price. And when I offer it, you should count yourself lucky." Emily fought against the urge to pull away, to strike out at him. She bit her lip, forcing her voice to stay steady. "Let me go," she managed, struggling to free herself from his grasp. But his grip tightened. "We're going for a ride," he said, ignoring her plea. Emily struggled, kicking out, clawing at his arms, but his grip was like iron. Suddenly, he squeezed her shoulder, wincing slightly as if it hurt him. "Do you really think I won't hurt you?" he hissed. Your father made a mistake. He underestimated me. But you can be an asset. She stiffened. Was he planning to use her against her father, to force him into further submission? Rage flared within her, hot and fierce. But there was a glint in Thompson's eyes that told her there was more to his plan. What do you want? She demanded, hating the tremor in her voice. He grinned, a predator ready to claim its prey. To make you an offer you can't refuse. Stay with me, Emily, and I'll ensure your father pays for his betrayal. If you refuse, well, let's just say your life will become quite uncomfortable. She stared back at him, her mind racing, trying to assess the truth in his words. Emily could feel the pull of exhaustion tugging at her. The events of the past few weeks had drained her, leaving her with hollow eyes and aching bones. Her limbs felt heavy, her resolve wavering. Yet she knew that giving in would only embolden Richard Thompson. She needed to hold on, to keep fighting. So Emily focused on her breathing, willing herself to stay awake. Though her eyelids drooped, she refused to yield. She had seen enough despair, enough defeat. It was time to reclaim a piece of her life. She straightened her shoulders, pushing the exhaustion aside. When she spoke, her voice was hoarse, but firm. Tell me what you want, Richard. What do you want from me? Thompson's eyes gleamed with triumph. Now you speak wisely. Come with me, Emily, and we'll settle some scores. He gestured toward the door, expecting her to follow. But instead, she remained rooted to the spot, her gaze fixed on him. My father is yours, she stated, her voice surprisingly strong. He sold me. But if he thinks he can sell his soul to, he's mistaken. Thompson froze. His eyes flashed with surprise, and then a dangerous light returned. So bold. Your father will pay for his actions, he said, his voice tight. But you will come with me tonight. We dine together, get acquainted. Emily nodded slowly, weighing her options. It was a risky move, but she had to buy time to regroup, to find a way to defend not just herself, but her father. Thompson smiled, a predator sensing the fruit was within its grasp. Excellent, he said, extending a hand toward her. Then let us make tonight unforgettable. Emily hesitated, her fingers hovering over his outstretched hand. She could feel the weight of his gaze upon her, but she didn't take his hand. Instead, she looked up at him, her eyes blazing with defiance. Not alone, she stated firmly, Michael comes with me. Thompson's smile faltered, the predatory gleam in his eyes replaced by a flash of irritation. What? He asked, his voice tightening. But you're the prize. Why should? Emily cut him off, her voice leaving no room for argument. If you value the deal, you won't hesitate, she said, meeting his gaze directly. Very well, Thompson conceded finally, his composure returning. Michael will join us, and so it was decided. That night, under the guise of twilight, Emily, accompanied by a grim-faced Michael, entered Richard Thompson's world. As Emily navigated the bustling market, she spotted a stack of worn books at a stall. Their pages hinting at distant lands and forgotten lore, a sudden idea struck her. She approached the stall, her fingers tracing the faded titles. The bookseller, an old man with eyes that twinkled with stories, noticed her interest. Looking for something in particular, miss? He asked, his voice like rustling leaves. Emily pondered for a moment, searching for the right words. "Something about legends, about hidden histories," she replied, hoping he understood. The old man nodded knowingly and disappeared into the maze of shelves behind his stall. Emily waited, her gaze lingering over a book titled The Serpent and the Moon, when the bookseller reappeared with a weathered volume in his hands. He placed it on the table, its title embossed in gold, The Keeper's Chronicles. "This might help you," he said cryptically, meeting her eyes for a moment. Intrigued, Emily opened the book. Its pages crackled with age, revealing a handwritten journal in flowing script. As she read, a chill ran down her spine. The journal spoke of secret societies, ancient artifacts, and a hidden legacy passed down through generations of keepers, individuals destined to protect the balance between the mundane and the magical. It was a world she had never imagined existed, yet the words resonated deep within her, stirring something long dormant. Lost in the chronicles, Emily didn't notice the hooded figure watching her from a nearby stall. The man's face was obscured by shadows, but his eyes glinted with interest as he observed her. Unseen, Emily continued reading, the journal's secrets weaving a spell around her. The old man cleared his throat gently, bringing her back to the bustling market. She closed the book, aware, for the first time, of the curious glances around her. With the journal tucked safely under her arm, Emily thanked the bookseller and hurried away. As she explored the city, her thoughts raced. The journal hinted at a gathering of keepers in New Orleans, a society that could offer her answers, perhaps even belonging. She remembered Michael's words, "I love you more than my own life." But the world we live in doesn't care about love. Was this secret world the answer? Could it hold the key to understanding the forces that had shaped her life? Emily clutched the journal tighter as she made her way through the vibrant streets. She felt a mix of excitement and fear, knowing that she was stepping into a realm where love was often just a casualty. The city throbbed with energy, but inside the Grand Opera House, the atmosphere was electric with anticipation. Emily, sitting in the orchestra pit, watched the dancers take their places. She had come to New Orleans seeking answers. But in the swirl of music and movement, she found a distraction from her heartache. The ballet unfolded like a story, full of passion and longing, betrayal and sacrifice. Each step, each gesture echoed her own turmoil. During the intermission, Emily found herself drawn to a secluded balcony overlooking the empty stage. There, hidden from the crowds, she leaned against the cool stone, breathing in the sweet night air. Suddenly, a voice broke the silence beside her. Lost, Emily turned to find a young man with eyes as dark as the night sky. His presence was like a jolt, electrifying and unnerving. Emily stammered, unsure how to respond. The man smiled, a hint of mischief in his gaze. "Let me guess, you came for the magic, didn't you?" His words startled her. "What?" "Don't play coy," the man said, his smile widening. "I saw you watching." "You're not from around here, are you?" Emily hesitated, torn between caution and curiosity. "How did you know?" "Because you were looking for something," he replied, his eyes boring into hers. "But why? What magic do you seek in this city of ours?" Before Emily could respond, the sound of approaching footsteps made her tense. The man beside her stiffened, too, and for a moment neither of them moved. A woman with elegant features and a commanding presence joined them on the balcony. Her gaze swept over them before settling back on the man. "Leave her be, Theo," the woman said, her voice smooth as velvet. "She means us no harm." Theo shot his mother a defiant look, then turned back to Emily. "Don't be fooled by her, girl. We don't take kindly to outsiders poking their noses where they don't belong." With that, he disappeared into the shadows, leaving Emily on the balcony with the woman whose piercing gaze seemed to see right through her. "Who was that?" Emily finally asked, her voice barely a whisper. The woman turned, revealing a smile that was both charming and dangerous. "My son, Theo. He has a way of putting visitors at ease." "And you are," Emily prompted, searching for a clue to the woman's identity. "Call me Celeste. And this family," she gestured around them, "well, we're part of the history of this city. We just do our best to keep it hidden from those who aren't ready to see it." The air hung heavy with the scent of rain and old brick as Emily hurried through the French Quarter, her heart a trapped bird fluttering against her ribs. She needed to get away, to vanish into the vibrant chaos of New Orleans, where the rhythm of jazz bled from every doorway and the neon glow of street lamps painted the rain-slicked streets in hues of gold and red. Here, amid the swirl of tourists and locals, she could almost taste freedom, almost. As she paused near a stall of books, a voice struck her like ice down her spine. Well, if it isn't the runaway bride." She froze. Slowly, she turned her head. Richard Thompson stood a few feet away, dressed impeccably as always, his smirk dripping with malice. The crowd bustled around them, unaware of the storm gathering in Emily's chest. Her throat tightened, but she forced her voice to stay steady. "Leave me alone." Richard tilted his head, pretending to pout. "Now, why would I do that? I came all the way from Charleston just for you. Do you really think you can slip away that easily?" Emily's hands clenched into fists. "I don't belong to anyone. Not you. Not him. Not any more." Richard's eyes gleamed, amused. "Oh, but you see, that's where you're wrong. Men like me, we don't let go so easily." And as for Michael, he chuckled darkly, leaning closer. "Do you really think he is just going to let his precious little purchase wander the streets alone? He'll come. He always comes." The words sent a chill racing through her veins, because part of her knew Richard was right. Suddenly, she shoved past him, darting into the crowd. The market blurred around her, faces, colors, voices blending into chaos as she ran. She didn't stop until she found herself in a narrow alley, chest heaving, heart pounding so loudly she thought it might burst. She pressed her back against the wall, sliding down to the cobblestones, clutching her bag like a lifeline. Tears stung her eyes, but she refused to let them fall. She had promised herself she would be strong, but strength felt impossible when the past followed her like a shadow she could never escape. A sound broke through the silence, the faint scrape of boots against stone. Her breath caught. Slowly, she lifted her gaze. At the far end of the alley, a tall figure stood still, half hidden, in shadow. For one agonizing second, she prayed it was anyone but him. Emily. Michael's voice echoed softly, but the way it wrapped around her name made her entire body tremble. She wanted to scream, to tell him to leave her, but her lips refused to move. The tears she had been holding back spilled freely now, streaking her cheeks as she whispered only one word. "Why?" Michael stepped closer, his face etched with pain, his eyes burning with something between love and desperation. "Because no matter where you run," he said quietly, "you'll always be mine." The words shattered her. And in that moment, Emily realized that freedom wasn't just a gate she had to walk through. It was a battle she would have to fight. Again and again, against the very man who once held her heart. The alley seemed to close in on her, its damp, brick walls swallowing every sound except the pounding of her heart. Emily pushed herself to her feet, her back still against the wall, her eyes locked on Michael. His presence was a storm silent, powerful, and impossible to ignore. "Don't come closer," she whispered, her voice trembling but firm. Michael froze mid-step. His chest rose and fell as though each breath was a battle. "Emily, I didn't follow you here to hurt you. I came because I can't let you disappear from my life. You don't understand what I am without you." Her fists clenched at her sides. "What you are? You're a man who bought me like property. That's what you are." The words cut him, but he didn't flinch. Instead, he moved closer, slow and deliberate, until the dim light revealed the anguish etched across his face. "Do you think it was easy for me to make that choice? You think I wanted this?" "God, Emily, I wanted to give you the world, but the only way to keep you from Richard was to claim you myself."